Mr. Shaheen, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we've just got you on the phone, so we're just going to see if we can put you on speaker. Can our viewers hear that? Can you speak, sir? Can you just introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Mohammad Suhail Shaheen, member of the negotiation team of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and spokesperson of the Taliban.
Is that fine? Can our viewers hear that? Okay. Mr. Shaheen, there is a lot of chaos and confusion in Kabul at the moment. Can you just help us understand what the Taliban plan to do at present and next?
Yes, there should not be any confusion in Kabul. We assure the people of Pakistan, particularly in the city of Kabul, that their properties, their lives are safe. There will be no revenge on anyone. We are the servant of the people and of this country. Our leadership have instructed our forces to remain at the gate of the Kabul, not to enter the city. We are awaiting a peaceful transfer of power.
When you say peaceful transfer of power, what do you mean? What is actually likely to happen?
It means that the city and the power should be handed over to the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, and then in future we will have an Afghan inclusive Islamic government in which all Afghans will have participation.
When you say participation, do you mean one vote, one person? What do you mean by participation?
Participation means that we will have in the government other Afghans. They will be part, we will have them in the future government.
But it will all fall under the umbrella of the government of the Taliban, the Islamic Emirate, as you describe it?
Yes, there will be, as I said, an Afghan inclusive Islamic government.
Will there be a delegation going to Doha tomorrow to speak with Mullah Baradar? Because there are a lot of rumours that he has arrived in Kabul and the current President Ashraf Ghani has handed power over to him. Can you give our viewers some clarity on that, please?
Mullah Baradar is here in Doha. He has not gone to Kabul. These are just rumours.
There is also a lot of concern from women in Afghanistan, in Kabul. They have been writing to me, they have been texting me. They are concerned that you will reimpose the regime of the 90s back in Afghanistan, where women couldn't go to school, where girls couldn't go to school, they couldn't work. Can you give us some clarity on what your plans are for that?
We have taken already many of the country and also many parts of the country. There are hundreds of schools for girls, universities there where the girls students are studying. There is no restriction on them. They are continuing their studies and they are going to schools they were going in the past. So
in Herat, for example, women are telling me that when they arrived at the gates of their university yesterday, Taliban fighters told them to leave and that there would be instructions from Quetta Shura about whether they could attend university or not. That is what the fighters on the ground are telling the women of Herat.
No, what I am telling is the policy. The policy is that women can have access to education and to work, and of course they will observe the hijab. That's it.
When you say the hijab, do you mean a headscarf on their head or a burqa covering their face?
No, burqa is not the only hijab. There are many types of hijab. One of these, them you already mentioned.
So there is a lot of talk about the disconnect between what is happening in Doha with the political office and what your fighters are doing on the ground. So you said to me the policy is that girls can go to school, but in Herat we're seeing girls and women being pushed out of school. Are your fighters listening to you?
Yes, they are listening to us. If there is individual case that will be investigated, and will all have to abide the policy.
We're also hearing reports that Taliban fighters are going house to house and terrorizing people who worked for Western forces or are in any way affiliated with Western institutions.
No, that is not true. I already sent you our statement, which reflects our official stance. That is the policy, but there are a lot of rumors and fake reports by our opponents in order to malign us.
And I just want to sort of understand the difference between what the fighters are doing and what you're telling them to do. I know you're talking about you're concerned about the reputation of your group being maligned, but there is footage that has emerged, for example, that militia fighters who are fighting against the Taliban have been tortured and killed. We're seeing public executions in certain places. Is that the sort of thing that's going to continue across Afghanistan in the next coming days and weeks?
No, there is no retaliation, no revenge. That we issue statements after statement after statement, which reflect.
But I suppose, Mr. Shaheen, and I've spent time with you in Doha, and you talked about all of these things and the statements and the policies, but it's what's happening on the ground to the people. They're telling us that your fighters are terrorizing them. For example, a government worker was targeted and killed last week, a media government worker, and the Taliban claimed responsibility. Is there going to be continued targeted killings of people who do not agree with the Taliban or have spoken out against them?
Maybe that reports you are receiving, maybe the reports are exaggerated or just want to mislead the world against us. So every individual case should be fully investigated. Then we know the veracity of that case. But what I'm telling you is the policy. That policy we are following, and all our members should follow that. If anyone are not the policy, he will be punished according to the law.
So going forward, should the people of Afghanistan expect to live under a Taliban-style Sharia law?
Of course, we want Islamic government, Afghan inclusive Islamic government. That is the want, the demand of the people of Afghanistan. But every defendant has the right in three courts to defend himself or herself.
Will it be a Taliban-style court, or will there be judges? Can women be judges, for example?
There will be, of course, judges, but women can have access to work. What they can position, that is for the future government.
So the government will decide where people can work and where they can go. That will all be up to the government.
No, that's for future government. There will be, uniform for schools, and also we have to work sort out for in the education sector and in the economic sector, in government, and a lot of work that will be there. But the policy is that the general framework is the women can have their access to work and education.
And what about a religious police? We spoke last time, and you talked about imposing a religious police in Afghanistan that would monitor people's behavior.
Yeah, religious police would be that they themselves commit conduct or misbehavior with the people. They will be that to be a help to the people and to call people to virtues through a mechanism, and so there will be a department for that. If there is any shortcomings or worse shortcomings, that would be corrected and removed.
Will you provide safe passage for people who want to leave the country now?
Our policies, no one should leave the country because it is the country of all. We need all the talents and the capacity in the country because when we close the chapter of war and enter another chapter of reconstruction, peace, tolerance, peaceful existence, national unity, we need all Afghans to stay in the country and to participate in the construction of their country and serve their people.
Will women be allowed to leave their homes alone?
Sure, as per the laws of the Islamic laws, all they can. Even in in the past, women were walking.
They were not allowed to leave their homes without. They were not allowed to leave.
They will have a male accompanying them. That was not the case. They were walking in the streets. You may have seen that.
The women we've spoken to have said that if they left their house without a male accompanying them, someone who was either their brother, father, or their husband, they would be beaten by Taliban religious police.
No, that was not the case, and it will not be the case.
In your view, do you want to reimpose the sort of government that you had in the 90s?
First, it will be an Islamic government. We have fought for 4 decades. That is one thing clear. Secondly, if there was any shortcoming, any grievance of the people, that would be seen, reviewed, and any fault there or shortcoming there, that would be reformed and corrected so that there is no grievances and complaints from the Afghan people.
And in terms of the media, are people allowed to, is the press allowed to operate freely in the country? Because we're also hearing reports that in certain places where the Taliban now control, they're only allowing for Sharia news to be broadcast.
I think it is very important that in Islamic government, there will be a free media and to criticize anyone, but they should avoid character assassination. It is necessity the society to have freedom of speech in the light of the Islamic law. That is what we want.
But can the radio programs or the television programs, for example, be critical of your regime?
Yes, sure. Yes, if there is any fault, any shortcoming, they should be critical because if they are not critical, how we correct ourselves? In Islam, and one believer is to another like a mirror. Mirror means that he shows him what he is.
What do you say to the young girls and women across Afghanistan today who are very concerned about Taliban returning to their cities, to their homes, which you have done, and imposing on them the sort of restrictions that they faced in the 90s? What do you say to those girls and those women who are now incredibly scared?
They should not be scared. Their honor their properties, their right to education, work. We have commitment for that. So they should not have worries, and all their work and their access to education will be, I think, more in a better position than they were in the past.
And in terms of public executions, stonings, amputation of hands and feet, I've spoken to Taliban commanders who have said that is what the kind of law and order that we would like to impose. Is that your view?
About Islam?
I've spoken to Taliban commanders in Afghanistan who have said to me that the way we see law and order is for the amputation of hands and feet if there is theft, stoning of women for adultery, and public executions if someone commits a crime.
About Islamic rules, and since it is an Islamic government, that is up to the government and the Islamic laws. So that is up to the religious scholars and to the courts. They will decide about the punishment.
Will that include, in your view, amputation of hands and feet and stoning and public executions?
I can't say right now, but it is up to the courts and the judges and the laws.
Who will appoint the judges in the courts?
Of course, the judges will be appointed according to the law of the future government.
So the government will be putting in place the sort of judges that in the courts that they want.
Of course, they have rules. Every government, they have a procedure how to appoint judges in every country, in every government. That will be in our future government.
Can you help us understand and paint a picture of what the next few days will look like for the people of Afghanistan and the people in Kabul? Can they go to their workplaces? The banks have shut down. People are trying to take money out of the banks. Can you help us understand what the next few days will look like?
I hope it will be a new chapter of peace and free of war, because in the past, every day, there were tens of people all over Afghanistan. They were killed because of fighting. And when the peaceful transfer of power takes place, I hope there will be a new chapter of peace, of people feeling safe and they can lead their life normally.
So can women go back to school and the workplace tomorrow? Right now we're seeing traffic jams in Kabul, people trying to leave the country, people queuing up at banks trying to get access to their money. What will the next few days look like? Can they work? Can they go to school?
Yes, they can go. We call on the people to stay in their homes, and the city, they should not go, and they should not have worries. They are rumors. They will have opportunity, education, and work, and they can continue their work as they were continuing in the past. So we have already issued a statement in this regard.
When will the transfer of power take place?
So we'll see. So we want to have talks about that and to achieve that as soon as possible.
So Ashraf Ghani and his team are currently in the presidential palace in Kabul?
I don't know about that. You can ask them.
And your team and Mullah Baradar are currently in Doha waiting for a delegation to arrive from Kabul?
Yeah, Mullah Baradar is here, and also all the members of the negotiation team are here in Doha.
Is there another high-level negotiation team coming from Kabul to Doha?
I don't know about that. We are not officially informed.
You haven't been officially informed that there's a team coming from Kabul to discuss with you?
Yes, not officially informed.
Can you tell us when?
As of tonight.
As of tonight, can you tell us when Mullah Barada will enter Kabul?
So it depends how the developments proceed. If there was the need that Mullah Baradar, along with delegation, go to Kabul, he will go.
What do you mean by how things will proceed? Because your fighters, why have you asked them not to enter Kabul? Is that to avoid bloodshed?
Yes, we want to avoid bloodshed, to destruction to properties of the people, and to not to give chance to plunderers, looters who are waiting for such moments to loot or plunder the properties of the people, or to harm, violate the honor of the people. That is why we instruct our forces to stay at the gate of.
Is this something that you agreed with and discussed with Afghan leaders who are currently in Kabul before you arrived to the gates of Kabul? Did you inform various Afghan leaders that would be the plan?
No, we took this decision for the safety of our people, for the sake of our people, but we announced it for all.
And flights can resume from Kabul. People can leave Kabul.
They should not leave. That is why we issued the statement. That is why I am talking to you, assuring the people of Afghanistan, especially the people of El City, Kabul.
But if they want to leave, can they?
We call on them not to leave, but we can't force them.
And that is the question of force, Mr. Shaheen, is a big part of the feeling that people have towards the Taliban, that the Taliban force people to behave and be in a certain way, and that they don't have their own rights, that the ideology is one where you prevent people from having their own personal freedoms. What can you tell people about that?
Most of those accusations and reports are coming from our opponents to malign us, to give a bad name to us in order to benefit from.
It's also coming from
harm our and benefit them.
It's also coming from ordinary Afghans who say, in certain provinces right now, they don't have personal freedom. They have a lot of fear. They can't walk around the streets on their own. It's completely in Taliban control, which means they don't have personal freedoms.
So, of course, the cities are in our control, but they have their fear inside, so that is up to them. But if they come to the street, go to shop or to anywhere, there will be no restriction on them. They can. But if someone has a fear or worry in his heart, it is up to him. That is why talking to you, assuring people, that is why we're doing statements. They should not have worries.
And there will not be revenge attacks on people who have worked within the government, within the police, because we've seen a spate of targeted killings where government workers, policemen, translators, anyone who's been associated to this government or Western allies have been targeted over the last year. 700 people have been killed in the past year in targeted killings. One occurred last week, which the Taliban claimed responsibility for. Is that likely to happen? And how are you going to control the fighters?
Yes, we should. That there is no revenge on anyone. This one. And all those allegations that they were the money I have investigated, it was not the case what was claimed at the beginning. So, any case will be investigated. One is allegation. When you investigate a case, then you find out it was not true what was claimed at the beginning.
So when you started this peace negotiation, Mr. Shaheen, you talked about working with the current government in some kind of power sharing deal. Is power sharing now out the window completely?
We want an Afghan inclusive Islamic government. So that means all Afghans will be part of that government. They will have participation in that. So we will see in future as the peaceful transfer is taking place that would be also sought out.
There's a lot of questions being asked about why prisoners have been released, Taliban prisoners from prison in areas you took back. Can you help us understand why they were considered criminals and people who tried to kill other people over the last 2 decades?
We have cases in their files with us, a very abnormal situation. So we have all their files with us, so they will be seen in the future. So, of course, there are some procedure that how to go about that.
Do you call on Ashraf Ghani, his team, the various other Afghan leaders, people like General Dostum, Mohammad Atta Noor, to return to the country and come and work with you?
Yes.
You are prepared to work with anyone who accepts your rule?
Yes, we want to work with any Afghan because we want to open a new chapter of peace, tolerance, peaceful coexistence, national unity, and work for the country and for the people of Afghanistan.
But they have to accept Sharia law and the Taliban style of living under the Islamic Emirate. Will it be called the Islamic Emirate?
So that's not the Taliban style. Islam is one for all people of the world. It is for of the Muslim world. So it is not only for Taliban. So I think it is also misinterpreted that it is a Taliban style. Islam is the same all over. It's only the same rule. Originating from it, the rules. Government.
Can I ask you, Mr. Shaheen, what will your relationship be with the United States?
Our relationship was, in the past, it was occupation, and we were fighting against that. In future, that chapter no more. It will be a new chapter of cooperation. And they can participate in reconstruction of Afghanistan. The more they participate in reconstruction of Afghanistan and help the people of Afghanistan and the country of Afghanistan, the more our relation will strengthen and improve and boost up. So that is a new chapter. We want to good relation with them.
What is your message to the people who don't want to live under Taliban rule?
We want them to stay. There is the fears based on not on realities. Assurance.
I suppose they're referring to history. They're referring to history, Mr. Shaheen. They're looking at your time in power between 1996 and 2001, girls not going to school, the oppression that many of the women faced. That's what their reference point is. So when people say, have the Taliban changed, that is their reference point, and also the treatment of some people in provinces at the hands of the Taliban, where they say atrocities were committed.
No. that atrocity committed that we refute. What I'm saying is the policy. I explain our policy to you clearly, and this policy will be implemented.
So we're getting a lot of people from around the world and in Afghanistan wanting to put questions to you. They're just wanting to understand what they can expect over the next coming days. There is uncertainty, they just want clarity.
Yes, if there is one or two questions, because I'm going to a meeting.
Sure.
Right now,
why don't you? Yeah. Go ahead.
There's one question or two.
Give me two questions. If you could answer just the next few days, please. What should we expect? Because there are a lot of rumors about what's going to happen. Please give us some clarity.
In next few days, we want a peaceful transfer. Secondly, the people will resume their normal activity. Thirdly, there is no revenge on all those who were working with the Kabul administration or with the foreign forces. So also, we want all embassies to continue their work. There will be no risk or to diplomats, NGOs, stop to anyone. All should continue their work as they were continuing in the past.
So Americans and the British evacuating their staff and their workers from the country, what are you saying to them? That they should remain and that you won't harm them?
Yes, we won't harm them. They should remain.
Suhail Shaheen, thank you very much for joining us here on BBC World News, and thank you for your time.